Hi, and welcome back to Pinky Boo Hauntings. I'll be your witchy host, Shy, and I'll be your guide to all things paranormal, weird, and spooky. Before we get into it today, I just wanted to warn you I am fighting a cold and I'm on the outskirts of getting over it. So if I sound weird, I'm sorry. I think it's my punishment for not taking a free flu shot at my work when I coulda. But ironically enough, I didn't take it because I knew I was going to get sick from taking it. So I was going to lose either way. But with that little warning out of the way, let's actually get into the episode today. In today's episode, we're doing another deep dive. This time, we're looking into Biltmore. When I first thought about doing this as a deep dive, I wasn't expecting much from it. I even was a little worried I might have to scrap it. But while I was doing the research for it, I got more and more confident in making this episode. There are a lot more spirits hanging around than what I first thought. My old Salem notes filled less pages in a notebook much smaller than the one I was using for this one. Yes, I have a lot of notebooks, and yes, most are only half filled. I have a problem. I'm a slut for stationery, and I unfortunately live up to the ADHD stereotype. Don't judge me. But that was all just to say, there are a lot more spooky things going on in America's largest house than even I thought, including some awful things I definitely wanted to be forgotten, leaving spirits behind to haunt the grounds. So, let us get right into this episode, because this might be a long one. Our story today starts all the way back in 1862 on Staten Island. The Vanderbilt family has just brought a baby boy into this world. His name was George Washington Vanderbilt. He doesn't know it yet, but he was just born into one of the wealthiest and best known families in America. His grandfather was famed shipping entrepreneur and industrialist, Cornelius the Commander Vanderbilt. I'm not gonna lie, while I was researching this, I was like, how do you become famous through a shipping company? That was until I remembered Amazon exists, and Jeff Bezos is only known because of said company. Well, he's more infamous at this point, but it still counts. But yes, George was lucky enough to be born in the richest family in America. He was living the life most of us could only dream of having. Now, let's travel a bit forward in time to 1888. George has been living his life in high society and is now 26 years old. He decides to take a trip to Asheville. Maybe he wanted to escape the pressures that came with being born in a wealthy family, or maybe he just enjoyed nature. Whatever his reason for his visit, he fell in love with the Blue Ridge Mountains. His love for these mountains was so strong, he quickly came up with the idea of building a country home in this area. Not long after his visit, he begins his plans to build by buying up the land he needs for it. He also hires Richard Morris Hunt to design and build the house, as well as Frederick Law Olmsted to design the gardens and the grounds. Just a year later, in 1889, they begin their construction on what would soon become the largest undertaking in residential architecture. Construction took 6 years to complete. With 250 rooms, this French Renaissance chateau took an entire community of craftsmen to come together to construct the house, gardens, and grounds. On Christmas Eve, 1895, Biltmore was officially opened to family and friends. After the home was complete, it had more than 4 acres of floor space, with 35 bedrooms, 43 bathrooms, and a shocking 65 fireplaces. So I guess in that time, it wasn't as shocking as they didn't have heating, at least like we do now. And being in a home that large in the mountains, you need a lot of fireplaces just to keep warm. We're going to skip even more time now, far after this house was first built, all the way to 1930. This was when the house was open to the public. Cornelia, George and Edith's only child, and John Cecil opened the house to the public to increase tourism in the Great Depression. This is how the public is allowed to visit it to this day, and why Asheville has grown to the city it is now. And while you're visiting the Great House, you can also view a large collection of art within. Biltmore holds over 92,000 unique items. These items were both acquired during trips abroad and commissioned by descendants. I just hope when they say acquired, they don't mean what I think they do. I really hope they didn't just take them. I know it's naive to think it was anything else, but let me believe they actually bought them. This isn't the only art they have had within these halls. They also stored art from the National Gallery of Arts in Washington, D.C. during World War II. So that's neat. But art isn't the only thing you can find in America's largest home. You may even find a ghost wandering through the halls. Whether they are just going about their daily routines or reliving their most tragic of days, workers and visitors alike have had encounters throughout the many, many corridors and rooms in this mountain chateau. There are your typical experiences, such as feeling cold spots or the sense of feeling watched or followed through the house. Some have even reported being pushed as well. And with all the family, friends, and staff that have passed through the house throughout the years, it could be just about anyone doing these things. Definitely isn't just one spirit involved in these incidents. Another thing the staff has reported is the sounds of a party happening in the Great Hall. They've heard glasses clanking and people laughing, but when they go to investigate, I think you know the rest. I assume after a while, they'd stop even checking and just let the spirits enjoy their afterlife party in peace. I guess they didn't get enough partying in life. They wanted to keep the party going in death. Unless this is just a residual haunting, and the staff is just getting a glimpse into the past. Both are truly possible in this case. I assume most that were there at the parties had a good time, so that energy could have just left an impression on the Great Hall. Or they had good memories of those parties and all came back in the afterlife to relive it. The staff have also pointed out the smell of cigar smoke that fills the air out of nowhere with no one around. The oddest part of this is that Biltmore prohibits smoking. While yes, there is a chance that there is an inconsiderate person trying to sneak a puff of their cigarette while roaming the grounds, the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim. And there is the more obvious fact that cigars and cigarettes don't really smell the same. Cigars have a much more distinct smell to them than a cigarette. So, while I'm sure there will be naysayers, it does seem more possible these staff members are truly smelling phantom cigar smoke, probably from George himself, or maybe another gentleman that was visiting the Vanderbilts. From what it seems, these encounters don't have a single location, except the Great Hall, of course, but the others could happen to you from anywhere in the house. At least, I couldn't find any details on where, say, the cigar smell would occur. That being said, If you are looking to have a good chance of coming across something and having your own tale to tell after your visit to Biltmore, I've got you. Look no further than the two hotspots that both staff and visitors have said they've seen and felt things at. First, we'll move to the grand staircase. These stairs spiral around a multi-layer chandelier and take up 4 stories. While looking at these in real life made me dizzy, seeing them in photos now, I get why people are in awe of the staircase and the chandelier. The chandelier is mesmerizing, and the handrails are just so beautifully detailed. Even if you can't check them out in real life, go look up some photos of them. I think you'll get why this grand staircase lives up to the grand part of its name. But while you're being amazed by the architecture, you might get the feeling someone is walking past you. And when you look, no one is there. Don't fear though, you're not alone in this. People have been experiencing strange happenings while climbing these breathtaking stairs. Many claim to hear footsteps on the limestone steps, as well as seeing shadowy figures moving up and down the staircase. There's even tales of strange smells, cold spots, and eerie feelings as people went up and down the stairs. Are these just the activities of one soul or many? Whatever the case may be, if you're wanting a good chance of coming out with your own story, this might be the place. The other hot spot is a little bigger. We're going all the way from the top to underground in the basement. Come on, you can't be surprised to find out a basement is big haunted. There are 3 areas that seem to be the main spots for the hauntings down here, so definitely visit them for some paranormal activity. First, there is the kitchen. Here is where you might hear the sounds of a ghostly kitchen staff cooking away, pots and pans hitting the burners, and the whisking of a bowl echoing from within the room. You might even hear the same staff doing their daily chores. Some have even said they felt watched in this area. The next room is weirdly called the Halloween room. I'm not really sure why it's called this. Maybe it's the paintings down there. The murals found here have been described as beautifully creepy. While you're admiring the murals, you might also come face to face with a woman in a flapper dress. There is no information on who she could be. You should probably get used to that. With a family as wealthy as the Vanderbilts, I'm sure it's possible they could have gotten a lot of people and deaths erased from history. Or because of the time period these happened in, they were just lost to time. All I know for sure is there is a lot of spirits that unfortunately don't seem to have a name to put to them roaming the grounds. But let's get to the creepiest place down in the basement, the pool. Once known as a joyous location, this pool is now left drained with nowhere to float about. Yet, people still hear someone splashing and enjoying their swim. Though the sounds of a ghostly swimmer are strange, it's definitely not what makes this the creepiest room in the basement. That falls upon what lies within the drain. What could make it so scary, you may ask? Well, there is a tale of laughter coming from the pool drain. It's rumored that a child drowned here, but those rumors are unfounded. I also don't know if that rumor is supposed to be connected to the drain or not. If so, why would they be laughing? That doesn't really make sense to me. Whatever the truth is, hearing laughter from any drain is just freaky. People have also been said to feel anxiety and dread in the pool area. Now that I could believe being connected to the rumor of the child drowning. No matter what the real reason, be sure to prepare yourself to feel uncomfortable or maybe hear the laughter of an unseen apparition. I don't know if anyone will understand my reaction to this, but going into the research for it, I was not expecting anything regarding my own experiences. I truly believed I would not find anything like what I felt during my tours of that house. So, when I read that the staircase and the basement were the biggest places for the hauntings, I almost lost it. Even more so when I saw that the kitchen was in fact in the basement. I wanted so badly to just start jumping around and screaming because of this revelation. Like, I really was so happy because for so long I was wondering if it was true or if I was just imagining things, especially the kitchen. Finding out others have also heard the staff working in there, like how I could feel them doing their daily duties, it was just so satisfying. I even wrote in my notes just how happy I was during it all. Alright, sorry for getting derailed. I was just so excited when I found this out, and I needed to just gush about it for a moment. I don't really have anyone I could do that with without them thinking I had lost my mind, or not really understanding just how excited I was about this. Now that I'm done with my little rant, let's finally get out of the basement and travel up to the library, where there might be some more familiar spirits hanging around. That's right, George himself has been seen within Biltmore, as was his wife. It was his passion project after all, and he loved being in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Why wouldn't he spend his afterlife here as well? His favorite place to be was in the two-story library. He loved to spend his time in there and was often found reading during a storm. This was definitely his place to get away, especially when he wanted to escape the parties they would host. If Edith noticed that he had disappeared from his duties, she headed to the library, making him come back to attend to his guests, something I'm sure George would reluctantly do. The poor man just wanted to be left with his books in the quiet that came with it. But unfortunately, with his status in life, came responsibilities he had to abide to. Now, it would seem these two are still doing their same song and dance, even in death. The guests are in the great hall, enjoying the party while Edith goes off to get George from his most beloved spot. People have said they have heard a woman whispering the name George around this section of the house. Most believe that it is probably Edith calling out to George to come back to the party and to remind him of his duties. Even in death, the poor guy can't seem to leave his responsibilities in the past. Though it does seem that he does get to enjoy his library for the most part. It's been reported that he's been seen by a cozy fire at the fireplace, probably reading his favorite books. Staff have also reported seeing George at the onset of a storm. That man really was all about the cozy life. A nice fire, a storm just rolling in, and reading a good book. I might not be much of a book girly, but replace that with a game and I'd be in heaven. Ah, but with a house as large as this one, there are plenty of places for a spirit to stay. Maybe that's why so many still linger here. And with a house this big comes the possibility of secrets that were meant to stay buried. But the dead always have other plans, don't they? While not proven, allegedly, George had a mistress. I know, we're all shocked. A man from this time period having a side piece? Who has ever heard of such a thing? So, while there is no proof of this affair, I wouldn't be surprised to find out it was true. And here I was rooting for him a minute ago to be able to live his best life. I also don't know if Edith would have known or not. I kinda hope not. But this is all to say, while no one is for sure if George had a mistress or not, she is believed to be the woman in pink that has been walking the halls of Biltmore. They say that she died in 1898 in a hospital not far from the estate. If it is true the woman in pink is George's mistress, then maybe they are continuing their affair even now. Maybe that's why people see her within the halls. She's joining George in their usual spot. I hope that's not true, but I'd at least hope that means it's true love for them. I mean, still not okay to cheat on your wife and continue to do it even in death, especially when she's been said to still be in the chateau. That seems a little messed up. But even though it's misguided, at least the woman in pink was there with him of her own free will. Because if it wasn't true love, why would she keep meeting him even in death? Besides the woman in pink, there's also tales of a woman in black. These two are like my aesthetics fighting for dominance. You got the pink girly girl aesthetics on one side and the black goth girl aesthetics on the other side. This woman in black is not a goth girl though. She is yet another unknown spirit that has been seen in Biltmore. Those that have seen her mention spotting her next to the pool area. No one knows why she lingers there, but she is another suspect that could be connected to the cause of the distress people feel while touring the indoor pool. She would definitely make more sense than a creepy kid laughing in the pipes. Could she be mourning the death of said child? Or is her appearance just a coincidence? Who knows, maybe she just hated the pool and wants to ruin everyone's fun. Unfortunately, with so little information on her, there's no telling who she was or why she was there. But the main house isn't the only place people have seen specters moving about. With a property that covers so much land, it's impossible to think that all the souls staying here would just be in one part of the estate. No, while many do reside in the main dwelling, there are a few that can be found throughout the grounds as well. These seem to be some of the more tragic tales I could find. The old Forest compound was first built in 1898 and served as the Biltmore Forestry School up until 1913. One of the buildings during this time gained a reputation as the meeting place for illicit activities. That's right, people would bring sex workers here to do the do. One rumored sex worker was murdered in this building, and she, as well as others, were hung within these walls. Of course, there are no official records of this actually happening, but why would a family like the Vanderbilts let something like this come out? Now she appears to visitors that are checking out the building. There are also those that have seen phantom lights flickering through the windows. People have felt extreme cold spots as well in this space, even during a hot southern day. Side note, that shit is freaky to be in a place where it is so hot you're pouring sweat and then experience a major cold spot out of nowhere, especially in an old building that you know doesn't have AC like that. Let's now move on to the gardens. There are two permanent spirits seen here in this area. The first is not a person, but a cat, actually. It is said that the spirit of an orange cat has been seen walking around the gardens and the grounds. What makes people realize this isn't actually a living cat is the fact that this poor cat doesn't have a head. There isn't really any details on this headless cat. No one is sure how it lost its head or who owned the cat. I just hope this was from an accident and not someone doing something cruel to this animal. I don't even like cats, and there is no reason to hurt an animal just minding its own business. The second ghost that you might run into in the gardens is that of a young boy. You're probably tired of hearing me say this, but once again, we have no real information on him. Though it is possible that he was the victim of a tragic accident, he does seem to be enjoying himself on the other side. He's seen playing in the gardens, and some have heard him laughing. So at least he's having a lot of fun despite his passing. This state is beautifully built, for sure. The rooms are filled with stunning details, and you could get lost within the awe-inspiring home, as with the grounds. It truly is like walking into the past, all the way down to the furniture and the clothes on display here. But while you're basking in all of the gorgeous artistry, both inside and out, remember, while you're climbing the stairs or walking the halls, you might not be alone. Having a house kept as it was so long in the past can lead to spirits deciding to stay. This was their home after all. You are just a visitor. So maybe while you're touring the library, say hi to George and Edith, and remember to listen closely around the Great Hall, because you may hear an amazing party going on that will probably make you wish you could join. There are a lot of spirits hanging out in this property, and they all have their reason for staying. They also have all of the room in the world to enjoy their spaces. So remember to be respectful towards them while you visit their home. But for now, the coven is adjourned. See you next time. Bye!